Southern Championship Wrestling from Georgia are Joe Pedicino and Rhubarb Jones.
I got ketchup on my blue jeans that just burn my hands. Lord, it's hard to be a bachelor's man. I got girls that can cook. I got girls that can clean. I got girls that can do anything in between. I gotta get ready, make everything right. All my rowdy friends are coming over tonight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another great hour of Southern Championship Wrestling. I'm Joe Pedicino, and...
Oh, Rhubarb Jones in here, and Joe, I'm excited about the show.
Rhubarb, every morning this week on Y106, you talked about seeing the ladies on tonight's show.
Well, yes, we are kind of looking forward to the ladies tonight!
The WWA Ladies Champion, Bambi, is here tonight. She'll be defending the title against Joyce Grable in what should be an excellent scientific match. We're looking forward to that. Now, one of our other main events was due to be Tommy Rich and Steve Lawler defending against the Deaton brothers, Hoss Deaton and Joel Deaton. But there's been a problem with that match, and I'm going to ask right now Joel Deaton to step in here and to tell us a little bit about it. I know that Hoss was due back from Japan. He was due back in this morning, but I understand there's been a delay.
Yeah, there's been a little delay. You know, I was really looking forward to Hoss coming back here with me in this tag match I got coming up this week in Southern Championship. I really think we could have got the job done, but since he is not here, don't get me wrong, he will be here, but he's not here now. I would like to ask John Michaels to come in, step in, since he helped me out here a couple weeks ago. I'd like to have you as my partner out here. I know you and Tommy have got a little bad blood, too, and I think we can get it on and get the job done out here between Mr. Rich and Mr. Lawler.
All right, so John Michaels, you have been asked to step in, and you and Joel Deaton would make quite a team, and it would give you an opportunity to be in the ring on a rare occasion against Tommy Rich.
That's right. You know, Joe Deaton came to me, and I said, Joe, as soon as he asked me, I said, there it is. I'll be glad to get in the ring. Lawler, me and you know strangers to each other, but this is the first time. Finally, Tommy Rich, you're going to have to get in the ring with me. It's a tag match. It's not what I wanted. But tonight, right here in Alpharetta, Georgia, Deaton, I'll be more than happy to help you anytime, any place, just like we're going to do it tonight.
All right, that ought to be quite a team. That match will be coming up a little bit later on in the show. We've also got the women on the show today. We've got the champions, Ranger Ross and Wrestling 2, as they defend their titles against the new team of Mr. Atlanta and David Jones. And, John, have you and I had an opportunity to see Mr. Atlanta since he's been back?
I've had a, big opportunity to see him. I saw him the other night up in Rome, Georgia. He's been wrestling a lot in Rome, Georgia. And, hey, he hadn't lost anything. The man's still tough. He's tough as nails, and, he's first thing he did is come in and ask for a match of Wrestling number 2, and here he goes again with a feud.
All right, well, Joel, let me ask you this. Do you know anything about this new man he's brought in, David Jones?
I've heard a little bit about him. He's been around, he's not no slouch. You can't take him lightly. He's a big old boy, and he'll come at you 100%. That's fine and dandy. That's the way I like it. That's the way I've always been. The wrestling world goes around in a big circle, people. And this one here is going to be a real short circle.
All right. That's it. That'll be coming up a little bit later in the show. We'll be back with our first match featuring Ranger Ross and Wrestling 2 right after this timeout.
Intermission, the show that asks, how much do you really know about the silver screen? This intermission brought to you by Hyundai. This actor starred in 1984 in Alien and received an Oscar nomination for his performance in Midnight Express. Can you name him? On our 10-point scale, this question has a difficulty rating of 7.
The Hyundai Excel is the perfect car for the young couple just starting out. It has plenty of cargo space. There's more standard features than any car in its class. And at $54.99, the money you save.
Your next match is a non-title tag team match. Introducing first in the corner to my right, Mr. Atlanta and David Jones. And their opponents, the current holders of the Southern Tag Team Championship belt. Introducing first, the American hero, Ranger Ross. And his partner, the living legend of professional wrestling, Mr. Wrestling number 2, a non-title match.
Rhubarb, this should be quite a match. Now, it's been a long time since Mr. Atlanta has been here in Southern Championship Wrestling, but he's starting up right where he left off. We saw him last week come out to ringside watching a tag match, and now we find him coming out in his first match here on TV against Wrestling 2 and Ranger Ross.
Joe, I'm kind of interested to see if Mr. Atlanta has any other things up his trick, if he has retained the move that he used, the scorpion claw, he used that we saw him use so many times a year ago.
That's right.
It's going to be quite a match.
All right, we start off with Mr. Atlanta in the ring against Ranger Ross. And as you said, this one will be quite a match. We see Ranger Ross with that kick, and that, of course, backs Mr. Atlanta up. You see that Mr. Atlanta is still wearing that black glove. You know, we always wondered why he wore that glove, and he's still got it on. He's still using it, and let's hope that we won't see that come into effect in tonight's match. And I am very interested in seeing this young man, David Jones, because this is our first opportunity to see him, but I have heard a lot about David Jones, the partner of Mr. Atlanta, and I hear he is every bit as rough and as tough as Mr. Atlanta. Right now,
look at Ross. He is possessed.
Whoa! Mr. Atlanta not too happy about that. Wrestling 2, I think, is very anxious to see Mr. Atlanta back. You know, Mr. Atlanta caused Wrestling 2 an awful lot of trouble almost a year ago.
Almost cost him his career.
Yeah, he put that bounty on Wrestling 2. A lot of people came in trying to get the mask of Wrestling 2, but were unsuccessful. And I think by the looks of things in the ring that 2 remembers who it was that started all that mess with the bounty.
Joe, right now we are seeing Mr. Atlanta getting punished by Mr. Wrestling number 2, and he always remembers. He never forgets. You cross that man one time, he might not get you back that day or the next week or the next month, but sooner or later, you got to pay the devil his due.
Well, like I said, I think Wrestling 2, to be honest with you, is pleased to see the return of Mr. Atlanta, because I think you're right. I think that he wanted to get his hands on this masked man. 2 off the ropes with a big shoulder block, comes back. Atlanta picks him up, goes for a body slam. 2 rolls him up. 1, 2.
Oh, look at it. He's on fire.
Mr. Atlanta leaves the ring rather than face that $1 million knee of Wrestling 2. And the crowd now picking up the chant of 2, 2, 2.
Joe, look at it. Oh, he's getting that head moving. Joe, when you see Mr. Wrestling number 2's head get to bobbing, look out.
You know he's serious.
Look out. Look out.
Oh, Ranger Ross with a legal tag comes in from behind. Almost surprises Mr. Atlanta.
Ranger Ross, a favorite of a lot of the fans, particularly the youngsters. He came out in the ring wearing a Just Say No t-shirt.
All right, David Jones, who calls himself the Heartbreaker, is in the ring now, and Ross is ready for him. Ross comes out of that corner fighting.
Well, let me tell Mr. Heartbreaker something, Joe. He's in the ring right now with Mr. Facebreaker.
Oh. Well, let's see if David Jones is as rough and as tough as we've heard. I can't believe that Mr. Atlanta would have him as a partner if he weren't. He turns Ross around, throws Ross in. Ross comes up. Oh, big flying body press. 1, 2. But David Jones still able to kick out.
Wolfman asking the crowd, was it a tag?
There you see some of the great crowd here at the auction barn in Alpharetta. David Jones up and over, and did you hear that ring all the way over here? And right now, the back of David Jones has to be in trouble. He's still able to kick out. You know, this Jones is a good-looking young athlete.
Well, we saw him last week, along with Mr. Atlanta, taking notes ringside of Georgia Power.
Whoa, look at those moves. Ranger Ross rolls him up. That should do it. Well, he kicks out, and Atlanta comes in and Ranger Ross off now. There's a rake of the eyes, and now David Jones tags back out. Mr. Atlanta comes in, and they're holding Ranger Ross. Big double arms there to the back of Ranger Ross. And now we're seeing the elbow and the double teaming. And now we're going to see there's the Mr. Atlanta that everybody remembers. Rakes the eyes right through those bootlaces.
Well, the Scorpion Claw, which was that maneuver that he was using, Joe, we saw him use it so much last year to really...
Well, Ross went running into the corner. He was able to cut that off a little bit, but he still went face first into that corner. And now the shoulder and the arms are being worked on by Mr. Atlanta. And now David Jones, and here they come, following the pattern of good tag team wrestling.
Joe, we just want to remind the fans that regardless of where Southern Championship Wrestling, whether it be Carrollton or Alpharetta or wherever, when it comes to your town, you need to come out and see it. All right! Tag is made. 2 in there. Getting after Mr. Atlanta. He's got a score to settle with that guy, Joe.
Whoa! Atlanta goes up high. Look at Atlanta now. Now he's calling David Jones over. David Jones holding him. David Jones holds him. Away. David Jones goes flying. Two's got him up for a body slam. David, wait a minute. Oh, no. David Jones pulled Two's feet out from under him and then held his feet so he couldn't kick out.
Ah, Joe.
Let's go back. What an injustice. Let's go back and take a look.
Man.
Now, right here, you see Two has him up. He's going to try and body slam him. David Jones pulls his feet out from under him and then holds his feet down, and there's the 3 count. What an injustice. The team of Wrestling 2 and Ranger Ross defeated by Mr. Atlanta and David Jones. And right now, let's go to Gordon Clements, who's standing by with a very interested tag team.
Boys, I'll tell you, we talked a little bit about some of the new faces coming into Southern Championship Wrestling, but now let's talk a little bit about that big tag team match you guys got coming up later on tonight.
I tell you what, not taking away from the tag match, but I tell you, this guy, Mr. Atlanta, and this new partner he's got, what do they call him, the Heartbreaker, David Jones or something like that? I don't know, you know, I'm speechless. They just beat Wrestling 2 and Ranger Ross, you know.
Sure did.
Let's tell you something. We know a little bit about these two guys. We've already had the occasion to wrestle against them in a couple of matches in different towns around the state, and they're big, strong men, and they're going to really be something to deal with. And we just saw what they're capable of doing. We were in the process of coming over here, and I didn't exactly see if it was by legal means or not, but I sort of doubt it.
Well, I kind of doubt it, you know, Nightmare, but I tell you what, it don't matter who it is. The tag team competition is getting greater and greater around here, and Wrestling 2 and Ranger Ross are the proud holders of those Southern tag team titles, the titles that are very coveted, and someday soon,